today our main tasks on the allotment are to plant up the remaining onion sets, plant some shallot sets, and Martin's going to plant our trial potatoes, the 6 varieties we've got just to test. So I'm going to start with the onions and shallots. We've got some rumba, just 1 or 2 centurion onions left after planting the other bed, just 1 or 2 Hercules, some stir on, quite a lot of stir on, and quite a lot of red Carmen onions. We don't do very well with red onions, so they won't all be going in. And then we've got some shallots to plant. We've got this one, which is Red Sun, we've had that before. This one is Golden Gourmet, which we've had before. And then we've got some to try. That one's Meline or Melwan, whether you want to say it with a French or an English accent. And this one is Longor, which it says is a French banana shallot. So at the moment, Martin's taking some compost to put into the trenches that we've dug in the weed control fabric that's on the bed where the onions will be planted. If I can get past Martin, I'll just show you where that's going to be. So this bed is going to be for the onions and shallots, and as you can see, some of the trenches have already been covered with compost. And then Martin's going to plant potatoes. Is it this one?
Yeah, no, that one.
Ah, in this bed here, which is all ready with the holes cut in. The one between the 2 beds that we're going to be working on, that will eventually be broad beans. We've got some plants already started at home in the greenhouse that will be transferred to there when they're big enough. So that's step number 1.
Once the bed's ready, the onions can go in quite quickly. Although having said onions, I think they're shallots.
They are shallots.
Yeah, they are shallots, so they're just spaced out and then just pushed into the soil.
These are quite big bulbs, aren't
They are the good ones, aren't they?
Mm.
Right then,
That's the right way up.
yeah, I'll have to make a start on spuds.
Okay.
While Sue is busy putting those shallots and onions in, I'm going to put our trial potatoes in, which have been in the summer house chitting for quite a while now. I think we got them last weekend in January. So we've got 4 tubers of 6 different sorts of potatoes. So we've got, these are Elfe, Apache, British Queen, Rudolf, Premier and Jazzy. Some of them we tried last year, but to be honest, it was too dry last year to give any of them a fair chance. But this year we're hoping for some better potato growing weather. So I'm now going to get these planted through some weed control fabric.
I've now got the onions spaced out a little bit closer together than the shallots, and now it's just a case of pushing them in just so there's a little tip showing, and I'll do that in a moment. Meanwhile, while I've been doing that, Martin's made a start on planting our trial potatoes. This time they're going through weed control fabric. So the technique is to dig a hole with the trowel as deeply as possible, and then you're going to put some 6X in. Little sprinkling of 6X, give them a little bit of food, and then the tubers placed in, shoot upwards and covered. And when it starts to grow, that will find its way through that hole. So as Martin said earlier, these are our trial potatoes. We've just got 4 tubers of each variety. I'll leave you to plant those then.
Right.
I'll go and do my onions. I finished planting the onions, and they've been given some water just to settle them in, and now they've got some twigs put over them to stop any animals walking in the compost. We did plant some onions earlier, so I'll just go and show you how they're doing. It's not an awful lot to show at the moment. We used to set the onions off in modules like a lot of other people do, but what we found one year when we planted some in modules and some directly in the ground was, in the end, there was really no difference. I think the thing was that when we planted out the ones in the modules, they got a bit of a setback, which slowed them down a little bit, and the other onions just caught up. So this is the bed where we planted up some onion sets a little while ago, maybe a week or so ago, and I don't know if you can see, but they're just starting to shoot. Got to look really carefully to spot them, but there's another shoot just there. And there's one just there. So they're just coming now. Another one. There's quite a few when you look. There's another one over there. Hopefully a little bit of warmer weather and they'll be away. We do have quite a lot of onion sets left. Sometimes those bags of onion sets just have far too many in. I'm not sure what we'll do with those yet. We might stick them in somewhere. We might not. Anyway, that's the onions planted.
I had a little strim today around these daffodils, which are just starting to go over now, but they seem to have been in flower for quite a number of weeks. Whether that's just the cool weather that's done it or not, I don't know, but certainly they've lasted pretty well. Anyway, I digress. What I'm supposed to be going to do on this bit of video, just finish up what we got done today. So Sue got last lots of onions and our shallots in. We have some onion sets left, but if we have any space left, we might have a go at planting those. And then down this end, I managed to get this bed full of our trial potatoes. So there's 4 tubers of 6 varieties in there, and we're hoping that they'll do better than last year, because last year was a little bit of a disaster. Now, Sue suggested that I show you our potatoes in the greenhouse. You'll have to please ignore the state of most of the greenhouse because it's still in winter mode down here. I stuff all sorts of stuff in the greenhouse just to keep worst of the weather away, so fleece lasts a bit longer, enviromesh and the like. But we have got 3 tubs of potatoes of Casablanca in here, and so far they're doing rather well. They look pretty good to me. I'd be more than happy if our outside ones finish up looking like this. So all the tubers have produced some tops. All we've got to do now is look after them for a few months. Hopefully maybe end of May, beginning of June perhaps, we might have some new potatoes to pick. Despite the weather, we've had a good afternoon on the plot, so we think it's now time we headed home for something to eat and a cup of coffee. Thanks for watching. Bye.